What's up, Victoria? It's Victoria. And the other day I was having a chat with my friend Linda over at Glitter Fallout, and she was talking about doing a video where she talks about the brands that she would really like to try this year. And I basically was like, I'm gonna do that too. If we both have videos that go live this week that are basically like this, that's why. It's because we were talking about it. I'm gonna tell you about some brands that I'm interested in trying this year for the purposes of review. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about my philosophy about buying makeup this year and what direction I'm coming at it from. The first brand that I would like to dabble in a little bit more this year is MAC. I did a little poll on my Instagram. A lot of people are very interested in MAC, and I know that those lipsticks just came out and that's been a pretty popular release for MAC, but I also feel like I'm more of a complexion person when it comes to reviewing makeup brands. Like, I'm much more into like the nitty gritty of all of that. The thing about MAC that's really nice for me is I'm a licensed esthetician, so I can get a discount on MAC, and it's pretty easy for me to get a discount on MAC. I also have some friends who work for MAC, not that they can get me a discount further, but I kind of get notifications about what's about to come. I do want to explore MAC throughout this year. It might be a brand review where I'm like testing the makeup behind the scenes for a couple of months, and then I do like a reveal, a brand review, like, you know, big reveal, like, here's what I think of MAC, which I think is kind of what I want to do with MAC. Whenever I do those brand reviews, it does make more sense for that brand to have a more comprehensive collection of makeup for me to choose from, because if the collection's too limited and I'm doing an entire brand review, it does feel like we're missing some parts when I'm doing the face, and I don't want to do that. But I probably, if I were to explore MAC, would go the pro pan route, simply because that's kind of like what I'm into right now, and I think that would make more sense for like where I'm headed as far as my philosophy of using makeup is. And if I buy stuff that comes in compacts and I end up wanting to keep it and then I'm going to depot it, that would be really annoying. And number 2 on my list is the brand VIEVE, which I know is owned by an influencer, Genevieve. I don't know her last name, but I used to watch her channel way back in the day, like 2016 era. And this was the second most popular answer whenever I asked about brands people would be interested in me trying. So I probably will only do one other full comprehensive brand review, and it will probably be either MAC or VIEVE. I really am not trying to buy makeup for myself this year. I'm not saying it won't happen, and if I do buy something like selfishly from myself, I will obviously share that with you and I will review that on my channel. But I'm like pretty satisfied with my makeup collection. I would say that I'm very satisfied with my makeup collection. So all of the makeup that I will be buying this year, or most of the makeup that I will be buying this year, is for review purposes, which is why when I am buying things to review, I will probably be more okay going outside of my comfort zone when it comes to colors and textures. One, it would make my time more interesting. I will be able to make more interesting looks with those. But also, some of the brands we're going to talk about down the line, they are really not my style and preferences right now, but I still would like to try them. Then people who like my style and preferences, who are interested in these brands, they'll be able to take away different information than, I don't know, someone who really is into that kind of thing. Because sometimes you need someone who's not always doing those kinds of looks or playing with all those kinds of textures or colors to come in and be like, okay, here's how they work for me. And I normally do these kind of looks, and it was really easy for me to do this, or it was really hard for me to do this. Anyway, that's how I'm approaching things. I'm buying things almost explicitly for review this year. It's just how I'm feeling. The second part of my philosophy of buying makeup for review this year. So those are like the 2 bigger brands. I don't know if VIEVE is technically an independent brand, and I don't know if any of the other brands that I'm about to talk about are technically independent brands. But I want to try to shift my focus to smaller brands, something that might have a smaller offering, and also indie brands. It's not required that they're indie brands. It doesn't matter to me if they might be financially backed in some other fashion. Just things that appear to be indie brands, smaller brands that might be doing more interesting things than the mainstream brands. If the mainstream brands happen to do something that I think is worthwhile in investing my money in for us, then we'll tackle that whenever we get to it. These brands, with the exception of some of the indie brands' eyeshadow palettes, a lot of the stuff that they offer is much more affordable than what you can buy at Sephora or Ulta. That will also be helpful for me to buy kind of like more to try from the brand. I think we're like headed into just like uncertain times, and I think I would just rather spend my money on those smaller, more indie brands for the most part. If I am going to be doing reviews this year, I want my money to go to those brands. So that's basically where I'm coming at from all of this. It's not impossible that I will buy some things from mainstream brands to review this year or to try. It's just, that's what I want to really put forth. That's like the mindset I'm putting forth this year. The only unfortunate part about smaller brands is like complexion products, which is like my heart and soul when it's like my favorite thing about makeup. Oftentimes these brands don't have anything complexion products, and that's okay. And if they do, normally the offering is pretty limited. So the first brand along these lines would be Glaminatrix. It's an Australian brand. You might have seen some of their beautiful eyeshadows on other channels. I have tried Glaminatrix Glaminatrix twice, and my experiences were kind of polar opposites. I have the Fairy Lights palette, which was a holiday release that they did, and I really love that palette. But I also tried the Nocturnal palette a couple of years ago, and I didn't really care for that palette. There's many reasons why I didn't care for the Nocturnal palette, and it wasn't all formula based, it was also taste based. I did a video on it, so go watch that video if you want to know more details. But I do feel like Glaminatrix's palettes have been shifting more into stuff that I might be interested in. They have done a couple neutral palettes, and they're bringing back the Nearly Natural palette, which I have already decided that I'm gonna buy whenever they relaunch it. It's kind of being reformatted a little bit, so I'm curious to see what they're doing. I think there are more shades in it now. It's the irony's not lost on me. I'm typically someone who likes a little more restricted color story whenever I'm working out of a palette, because I feel like if I'm given too many options, I get a little bit overwhelmed. 15 is typically my max, but obviously I've been working with Bella Beauté Bar. I've been trying a lot of their stuff recently, and their palettes are normally much bigger than that. So it can be done. I can be impressed by that, but I think that would be a good way to tiptoe back into what Glaminatrix is doing. I do feel as though Glaminatrix is always working on their formula and improving their formula, so I would be interested to see where they're at now. I think that the shimmer formulas that they do are, you know, pretty consistent, because I did enjoy the shimmers in the Nocturnal palette. It was the mattes I had more issues with, but I also wasn't impressed with some of the shimmers, but I think that was more of like, again, a taste thing. I'm really curious to get back into them. They did reach out and ask if I wanted to be put on the PR list. I did accept. I'm not sure where we are in the process of that, because I was asked, I responded, and then I haven't heard back from them. And if they like forget or whatever, and I don't get the next palette through PR, that will not be a problem. I won't be upset about it. I'm just saying like that did happen, so it is possible we could see more Glaminatrix on my channel, even beyond what I was already planning on buying. So Glaminatrix is on the list. We might see a lot of it this year. The next brand is a brand I've also tried some stuff from, but I was also unimpressed by overall, but it's also not the kind of eyeshadow that I typically use, and it's Unearthly Cosmetics. I had some Unearthly stuff decluttered to me, and I tried it, and the eyeshadow palette I tried was like it was like a jellyfish palette. I think that, I don't know if it's called the jellyfish palette, but I think it was a jellyfish palette. It was some kind of, or was it an alien palette? It was themed to one of those two things. The way that the palette was laid out to me really looked like it was like duos across the board, and like colorful duos with like a colorful shadow and then a colorful shimmer topper kind of thing. I was so uninspired by it. I didn't find the shimmers to be like indie quality, or what I normally look for when I turn into an indie brand. I'm looking for formulas that I feel like I cannot find on the major market, and I didn't feel like there was anything special about what I tried in that palette. I also tried their highlighters. The highlighters are just not to my taste. They are definitely for people who I think are into a much more intense highlighter than I am, and sometimes I like to play around with that. The one I tried was very similar to the Fenty Diamond Bomb. I'm much more into like creams when it comes to highlighters now, and I mean, that's not entirely true. I have the Hindash highlighter on today. I do like powder highlighters too, but I do feel like I favor cream highlighters. They've released some palettes I've been interested in. I talked about Just a Taste which is one of their palettes, in a Critical Sass not that long ago. I did put the wrong picture up when I was talking about it in that Critical Sass. My bad, I'm sorry. But I have been continuing to think about that palette. So that palette would probably be the palette I would try based on what they're offering right now. I would probably throw some other things in. I know they're doing like the warehouse sale, and there's some stuff I could get pretty heavily discounted. I don't think Unearthly is the first brand I want to like go after this year, so I'll keep my eyes peeled to see if they release anything else that really speaks to me. But I was looking at their website while I think the warehouse sales are going on. I just started adding stuff to my cart. My mental status this week, I'm filming on Monday the 20th. Basically, my mental health this whole year so far has been not great. I do find myself on websites building carts and abandoning them. And whenever I was on Unearthly's, because everything was really discounted, I was like really close to just buying stuff. And I was like, I don't want this right now. I am wrapping up the Mob review. I think that that's going to be out early next month. So I'm kind of focusing more on that than wanting to buy some new stuff to add in to just kind of distract me from the Mob review. The next brand is a brand I've mentioned in a previous video. I think it's like really popular right now, and it's the brand GirlCult. A lot of my friends have been using GirlCult for the last year or more, been in the know about GirlCult. But GirlCult, I feel like toward the end of, well, I mean, I guess it's not the end of TikTok. For the last couple months on TikTok, I feel like I was seeing it a lot more, even in my feed organically. Well, probably not organically, because I started looking at it on TikTok. It was easily accessible through TikTok Shop. I deleted my TikTok account, just to let you all know. Not that I really posted on TikTok TikTok, but I'm not over there anymore. Interested in what they're doing. I know my friends really like it. I really like their packaging. It's really sleek. It's different looking. I find that really covetable. Like the fact that even if that's plastic packaging, I love original packaging that feels unique. And I'm very into that. And I think it's a sea beauty brand. It's definitely East Asian, but I think I'm fairly certain GirlCult is specifically a Chinese brand. So I'm interested in that. And also kind of just like speaking of K-beauty, J-beauty, C-beauty, I'm very interested in trying more of that this year. We'll see what happens with this like accessibility to that kind of thing. Just being realistic, like I'm not trying to fearmonger. I have no idea what's going to happen. There's a lot going on. So if there's one thing I can say about this time and space is that there is a lot going on. So I'm very interested in K-beauty, C-beauty, J-beauty. I might do a full face of an amalgamation of them. I'll make sure before I start talking to you about it where they come from. So it won't be like an explicitly Japanese beauty face. It won't be explicitly a Chinese beauty face. It would be like kind of a combination, because you can kind of buy all of that stuff on YesStyle or websites like that. If it gets to the point where I feel like getting nitty gritty and like doing a Japanese beauty face and we can do that. Again, those brands as of right now are more affordable than a lot of Western brands. It would mostly be like shipping and how long would it take to get to me. Also, I joined Red Note. Hold on, how do I say it? And I'm not planning on posting there, so I did make an account. It's hautemesstom over there, but I posted one video just to like see, but I've been just scrolling. Red Note, I think it's pronounced Xiao Hengshu. Please forgive me. It's been very interesting watching things over there, but I've come across makeup content and people are talking about makeup. I found a lot of accounts that are rehabilitating makeup, meaning like they're like taking broken makeup and rehabbing it and then sending it back. I love that kind of content. I used to see it a lot more when I used to be on TikTok, and like after a while it just like stopped popping in my feed. So I've been watching a lot of that, but obviously, those aren't normally brands that I know, so I've been taking note of the brands, and I've actually been going through the comments, seeing if people ask about the brands, especially like people who are Chinese, like asking in Chinese. They're like, is that brand actually good? So I've been taking note. I have some brands that I've like written down and I'm like, okay, that person uses a lot of that. That person banned some of that. So that has been very fun for me. I don't want to get into the Red Note of it all, but like, I'm there. Only one person said, I wish I saw more people talk about Kulfi. I've only tried the eyeliner from Kulfi, and I know they've kind of expanded their line a lot since then. So yeah, I would definitely be interested in trying more of their stuff. I really like the look of their eyeshadows. I think that'd be something I would be into, especially the one that they released for holiday. I don't know if that was like limited edition. If you are someone who knows more about Kulfi, you can let me know. So I was very interested in that over the holiday season. I would be interested in trying eyeliners that aren't this terracotta color that I have. I was given a red one and a blue one. Was I given a regular color one? I might have been. I don't really remember, but I felt like all the shades that they sent me were colorful. I would be interested in trying a regular eyeliner from them. I know they had those liquid blushes. I didn't like care for any of the colors of them, but I haven't tried their concealer yet, which I've heard only great things about. Kulfi's definitely on the list of things for me to try. The next brand I think would be like more of like for fun. And I've actually had the opportunity to swatch some of it because whenever I was in Trixie Motel in Palm Springs, they had some of the makeup on display and it was swatchable. I do want to try Trixie Cosmetics. Tiff has some of Trixie's stuff. The stuff that Tiff has is like older Trixie makeup. It's not the problem that it's older. It's just like not part of the offerings that Trixie has anymore. So if I do review it, I will buy new formulas to see if because I want to have the freshest makeup and the most updated formulas. If they have changed at all, I want to be able to try those versions of the formulas. I was perusing Trixie's website and I was perusing it like the day after they finished a pretty intense sale at the end of the year. And I will say I was having trouble like building a fake cart of stuff that I think I would be interested in. Whenever I get to the eyeshadow palette portion of Trixie's website, I'm like, I don't know about that, but we'll see. But that's the point. I'm trying to really hard to like keep in mind that I can open my mind to color stories that aren't for me. I'm really just interested in trying the formula. But the other thing is, even if it's colors I don't wear often, I have to enjoy the process enough to want to keep applying it to even review. But Trixie's on my radar. I think I'm going to do it because I just think it'd be fun because I feel like I've been very unkind to Trixie's makeup line in my critical sasses. And it's not that I don't think that the makeup is like good but You know what I mean. It's just Trixie doesn't make makeup that I would normally be into, but I love Trixie Mattel. Love Trixie Mattel. I think she's fabulous. So it's not so much not a love for Trixie, it's just the makeup that Trixie's releasing. Trixie's brand is designed to be like this very girly, young feeling brand, and that's not where I'm at with makeup. It's not exactly like Too Faced, but it has like kind of a similar aesthetic where it's like young, girly, whereas I'm more into mature, luxury. But I would like to try some Trixie this year. Salt New York is another brand on my list. Some of these are like retreading water that I've already tread, but I tried some Salt New York stuff a couple years ago. I put it on my face and I felt like I couldn't see it. And when I could see, I was just kind of like, okay, I kind of get it. But a lot of my friends have recently got Salt New York PR and it made me go, what if I tried that again? But what if I tried that again? And my skin is different even from 2 years ago. My skincare is different. So perhaps it could work for me now. I also feel like they have colors specifically right now. The blushes that they just released that are supposed to be limited edition. They're like supposed to be like a lip gloss slash blush lighter thing. Like I think I would really love the shades that they released in that. Like those look really pretty to me. And I know they released a concealer since I last tried them. And I'm wondering if the concealer I would like using all over my face, because the foundation I didn't think did anything for me. I like put it on. I didn't feel like it blurred. I don't feel like it did anything. Like, I don't know. I just like when I put that foundation on, I was putting a lot of it on and I still wasn't really getting anything. So I would like to try that again. Just kind of like knowing my preferences a little bit better going into it. I feel like we're always constantly learning about our preferences and sometimes we'll try things that should really be up our alley. Like I really do think that Salt New York is something that should sing to me more than it does. I would like to try again. Lethal Cosmetics. Now, I have had a Lethal palette. It was the Teresa's Dead first collaboration, and it was actually the last thing I bought before I started my no buy at the very early stages of what the current iteration of my channel is. And I don't use those eyeshadows very often. I don't even have them in the palette. Especially I think at that time, Teresa was already wearing more colorful makeup than I do. And I think Teresa is much more inclined to play with color than I am. So I don't use those shadows often, but I really liked them when I do use them. Like, and I've put some in custom palettes over the years and I do enjoy it. But I think if I waited for a palette that they create that really sings to me, I would like to try it. I do think that their packaging that they've been doing with their releases recently have been really interesting. Maybe I don't like it all, but I like to see that they're an indie brand kind of playing with packaging, because I feel like indie brands, they like format one version of their packaging and then it's like, this is what our packaging will be henceforth. Nice to see that they're like playing with packaging and making it a more enjoyable experience for the consumer. But I do think even if I went in and I made a self-made palette through them, that could be interesting. So Lethal's on the list. I feel like their mattes are really nice. And I've heard that even since the Teresa is Dead palette that their shimmers have gotten better. So that's always great to hear. The next brand we could probably easily do a comprehensive review of. Like Ciele has been kind of like releasing in waves. They first released like the powder and the foundation. And I think now they have like a foundation, a concealer, bronze. Like they have a little bit of a variety of things going on. And I'd be interested in trying that. I really did like the Rowan stuff I tried whenever the owner still was involved with Rowan. All the stuff has SPF in it, and that does make me pause for a moment. And not that I think it's bad that things have SPF in them. It is just kind of like, how much SPF am I putting on? The final thing I have on my list is Clionadh eyeshadow palettes. So I want to try one of the three palettes that they have, because they brought back the Archeo and Paleo palette, and then they introduced the water one, which I cannot remember the name off the top of my head, but they also have the water one. If I were to try any of them, I want to try the water one because there's one shade in particular in there that I want to try, and I know it's a blue palette, or it's like mostly a blue palette, and that's not really my thing, but that shade I want to try. I know I have a similar shade in my makeup collection already, but like that shade has always really stuck out to me as like a stunner when they released that palette. I haven't ever tried Clionadh mattes or any formula that isn't their multi-chromes, and I know they have other shimmer formulas, and I would like to try a more robust experience whenever it comes to Clionadh. That's the list. I might not get to all of these or any of these this year. We'll see. Like, you know, it's kind of just like those are what's at the forefront of my mind right now. Sorry, I keep thinking that my cup is right here and I just keep putting my arm over it. I'm just kind of relaxing. Oh, we should talk about the earrings. They are little Dr. Pepper cans. These were gifted to me, so I do not know where they came from, but they are very cute. If I had to guess, well, I guess I don't know. They were gifted to me from Andromeda. It was, first of all, Andromeda, I don't know that I directly thanked you for these. Thank you. Thank you in the video. They're so cute. I wish they were dyed Dr. Pepper cans, but if Andromeda wants to leave a comment about where they got these for me, they absolutely can, so you can check them out, but I personally do not know. Anyway, like I was saying, let me know in the comments down below other brands you think have things that I might be interested in, or just a general take a look at. Just so you know, I appreciate any comment you might leave about brands that I'm trying, but also don't hold on to that like it's a promise that if you ask me to review something that it's going to absolutely happen. We're literally playing it by vibes this year. Anyway, I just want to say before I do like my normal outro, I hope everyone is really taking care of themselves and trying to stay as grounded as possible. If you are new to my channel and you are, well, this would be such a strange video for you to start at, but my channel, kind of as I was saying earlier, like my channel, I'm buying these for reviews specifically. I used to spend too much on beauty products, and I have spent a long time trying to rehabilitate that by doing low buys and no buys and budgeting and things like that. So what I really like to do here is to help myself and help you be more discerning about the makeup that we are deciding to purchase. A lot of times we are buying things because of an emotional feeling, or we're buying things that we already have theoretically. I just try to encourage you to play with your collection before deciding to make a makeup purchase. I do get PR and I do have a budget that I set aside to review makeup. So that's going to change my relationship with makeup, but I'm always trying to be as unbiased as I can whenever I am doing those reviews. I'm trying to just create a space for you that feels safe watching beauty content and not feeling like you're being sold every single thing that you're being talked to about. Anyway, so please hit the subscribe button and also hit the like button while you're down there. I'm on Patreon and I have channel memberships. You can find those linked down below. Over there, I do one additional piece of content every month. It doesn't matter at what level you join, everyone gets that piece of content. It's just kind of like, if you would like to support me that way, you can. But as always, there's never pressure to support me in that manner. I'm happy that you are here liking, commenting, and sharing my content. But if you are a current member or patron, I really appreciate you. I have a pinned comment down below. In that comment will be links to help people in Gaza and help people who are affected by the fires in Los Angeles. If you have the funds to support them, please do so. And that is going to wrap it up for me. Remember to follow your haute and you'll find me. And I'll see you in a video very soon. Go for it. It's out.